Hey, Colabcoaching yet again to share some wise words of wisdom for the week. It's week number 3 of the Freedom Series. So excited to get into week 3 because, as you may know, you may not know, I tend to go deeper within each week within the 4-week series. And without wasting any time, let's talk about this topic. This topic is juicy with why is why is freedom so important in relationships? Why is freedom so important in relationships? Now, when we talk about freedom in relationships, we talked about what the definition of freedom is. We talked about in the first week. Second week, we talked about how to implement the freedom. Now, this week, we're talking about exactly why. Why am I taking my time to talk about freedom in relationships? The reason why freedom in your relationships is so important is because we're trying to avoid feeling trapped in a relationship. That's the big objective here. The reason why I'm focusing so much on freedom is because this is for the people that feel trapped in a relationship. And even so, when you're single, you feel trapped in not understanding why you're not in a relationship. Vice versa. It could be either way. So what is trapped? What exactly is trapped? Now, I'm not talking about maybe you feel as if your significant other doesn't get you, or you feel like your significant other, you guys got into an argument or disagreement, and your significant other is not listening to you. That's a whole different situation. Trapped, I mean confined. I mean, this has been years going on. I mean, this has been a situation where you have maybe been mentally done with the relationship, but you've been physically in a relationship for maybe 5 years, but you've been done with the relationship for 4 years, and you're just going with the flow. Or you feel like you don't have any power and you feel hopeless in your relationship, that you can't even speak your mind. You have no personality in a relationship. Whatever your significant other says goes. Whatever your significant other decides to do, you go along with it. Whatever you feel is wrong or you feel is not right, you don't have that voice in your relationship to speak it or to proclaim it to your significant other or your friend or your family member, wherever it may be, that this is not right because you have lost the power. Now, when we talk about relationships, of course, it's not always 50-50, maybe 80-20 one day, maybe 60-40 another day. But what is most important is that you have to have a foundation of freedom in your relationships. You have to have freedom as a cornerstone in your foundation in your relationships. The reason why this is important is because if you don't have freedom in the foundation of your relationships, you will never be truly able to speak freely. You will never be able to love freely. You never be able to enjoy your relationship freely because you are constantly thinking that your voice doesn't matter. Because you may be in a relationship with someone that's maybe has a stronger personality than you, or you have a stronger personality, and that person decides to take over the whole relationship, or you're taking over the whole relationship, and your significant other is resentful of you, and they might fight back against that. So there has to be a happy medium, yes, but the way to find a happy medium is important. Now, when I'm talking about freedom, I'm talking about exactly the idea of being who you are in a relationship, just like who you are by yourself. What I mean by that is just basically you being who you are, your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your ups and downs, your flaws. You know within yourself who that is, and you know your identity. Putting that into a relationship, the good and bad, that's what's important. Don't put a whole persona of you not being real and then taking that to your relationship. That's not gonna last for very long. That's where resentment comes. That's when pain comes. That's when hurt comes because you're so fixated on being someone that you're not, and you built a whole relationship on being a person that you're not. And when your significant other finds that out and figures it out, there's disconnect. There's trouble, there's animosity, there's hurt, there's pain, there's whatever you can think of is going to be there. Now, how to acknowledge that, how to put that in the forefront, because you may also be that person that doesn't feel like they have a say in a relationship, as I talked about last week, that you're not fully able to express yourself. You're not truly able to be who you want to be because you feel like you're just going with the flow and you giving that power to your significant other. For that person, you have to realize, well, okay, yes, I've had this pattern in my relationship. I gave this power to my significant other. I gave him or her the right to dictate what happens in our relationship. But I'm not happy because I did that. I made a mistake. Acknowledge that you made a mistake. Acknowledge that you were wrong to give that power away. And discuss this with your significant other. Create that safe space. As I always say, create that safe space and allow that conversation to materialize, to be real. Not just thinking in your head, act on it. Say, okay, I know that when we first started a relationship, I gave you the power to decide where we want to live, decide basically how we should live our lives and how our lives are structured, but I'm not happy with the structure. This is not beneficial for me anymore. I need to have a voice in our decision making now. I have to speak my mind more because right now, the direction that we're going, I'm building resentment over you, with you. I'm building a wall that separates our love. The love that we had initially was so strong, and now it's dwindling. It's a small little candle where it was a giant flame before. So we have to create that safe space to have that conversation. And yes, it's going to sting. Yes, it's going to hurt. But just imagine if you let that pattern being trapped last in your relationships. Just think about it. It'll end to what? Either if you're married, divorce. If you're in a relationship, it'll end to breaking up. If you're doing this with a friend, and you're dealing with this with a friend, you will be end of a friendship. If you are dealing with a family member, it will be 10 years before you had a conversation. You avoid each other at family functions, whatever it may be. We don't need that in our life. That's added stress that we don't need. And the best way for you to overcome that is to just literally put your voice in the forefront. Speak your mind. Take the freedom back. The best way to take that freedom back is to acknowledge the type of person you are and show it to the world. We think it's more difficult than it needs to be. It's literally creating a both blueprint of freedom and taking it into any relationship that is building a foundation. You are taking yourself and your freedom, adding it into, as I said, a cornerstone into the relationship, into the foundation. And your significant other could do the same. Your family member could do the same. Your friend could do the same. Adding their freedom into the cornerstone or the foundation of your relationship and building upon that. Now, if you just allow your significant other to just have that cornerstone by themselves and you have nothing to say, that house will be lopsided. More of the stability will go to your significant other, your friend, your family member, and your side will be based and dependent on your significant other, that person. That's not healthy. That's not how a relationship lasts. That's not how a relationship will continue to grow. That is not how a relationship will be beneficial for you and your happiness. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, yeah, I have definitely neglected myself and in my relationship, and I feel trapped now, and I'm ready to build that freedom in my relationship. It's not over. I'm telling you now, whoever's watching this right now, it's not over. It's not done. You can get that freedom back. Once you get that freedom back, then you could decide if the relationship that you're currently in is still beneficial for you. If it's not, I understand. But if it is, that's how you continue to create that foundation and build upon what you already have, those years that you already have. Simple as that. We have to remember that it is just a lack of communication at times and there's a lack of confidence to get anything achieved. So if you're that person struggling right now, go ahead. Go to my website, Your Collab Coach right now. Go ahead and do a relationship checklist. See if we're a good fit for each other. We can have a free initial 15-minute session to see if we're a good fit for each other, as I said. And we can take this coaching journey to the next level. Follow me on Facebook, Colab Coaching. Follow me on Instagram, Colab Coaching. All my videos and series are on YouTube. Like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next series and the next week on this Freedom series is that. Thank you so much for watching and share this with anyone that is struggling to figure out why freedom is so important in relationships. Because it is. If you don't have freedom, you don't have yourself in a relationship. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.